Oops. That's breakable.
Today we're doing an overview of our first impressions of the Zhiyun Smooth 4 gimbal, how it compares to its predecessor, the Smooth Q, and importantly, how it integrates with FiLMiC Pro. One thing this is not is a full-blown tutorial on using the Zhiyun with FiLMiC Pro. Would highly suggest you check out the deep dive video that Epic Tutorials did, not only on how to use this device, but also on how to control virtually all the features with FiLMiC Pro. We're going to touch on our favorite features and some of the pluses and minuses we found so far, and we'll also show how it can control your coffee maker. First things first, we've had lots of people ask us how the Smooth 4 compares to the Smooth Q. The obvious difference is the Smooth 4 is bigger. It's a larger gimbal, it's a little bit heavier, and it feels a little beefier, not only in construction, but just all the way around it, including the handle. The Smooth 4 handle is more square. It's just not nearly as comfortable in your hand. It's not very ergonomic, I would say, versus the Smooth Q, which is more like a traditional handle. It's round. It's much more contoured and smooth, no pun intended, on your hand. That's not to say you can't work with the Smooth 4, it's just a different feeling and not as comfortable. And that probably has to do with the fact that the Smooth 4 has a lot more controls on its handle. And that correlates to how FiLMiC Pro now integrates very nicely with this gimbal. One nice thing is the Smooth 4 now comes with its own set of tripod legs. With the Smooth Q, we just attached a third-party tripod, a tabletop tripod from Manfrotto. It worked fine, it's just an extra expense. The Smooth 4 has a nice battery indicator that also blinks as it's charging so you can see how full it is or how far it has to go before it charges. Lastly, the cases are different. The Smooth Q came with more of a DJI inspired case. Looks like a mini guitar case, but DJI puts their Osmo in one very similar to this. Neither is great nor really bad. The Smooth Q case is probably easier to haul around with you because of the straps, but the Smooth 4 case works totally fine. So this is kind of cool. iPhone 8 Plus on the gimbal here, and it's already balanced without even turning the gimbal on. Just a reminder that this is not a full-on tutorial. This is more of an overview and a look at our favorite features. So first up is pairing it with Bluetooth to your phone. This is one of the easier things that I've ever paired because you don't actually have to use Wi-Fi. Lots of times with other devices, you got to set it up through your Wi-Fi, and that can get kind of tedious. This is very easy to pair. It'll tell you that it's connected, and then you're good to go. With one caveat, and I'll talk about that here in just a moment. So now we're ready to shoot. And that is the coolest thing about this integration, is being able to remote trigger the recording. May seem obvious, but before doing this and using FiLMiC Pro, you had to reach up and touch the screen. The next feature I really like is controlling the focus remotely. It's like having a remote follow focus for your phone. This really works great, especially when used in combination with peaking the green lines on the screen so you can tell what's in and out of focus. Another cool thing to control remotely is your exposure. Phones have a fixed aperture, so you control your exposure through raising or lowering the ISO and shutter speed. And using the zebras here, the red is overexposed and the blue is underexposed. Really allows you to quickly and easily fine-tune your exposure. And then speaking of the peaking and the zebras or false color, etc., this will allow you to toggle the analytics on and off. Once you found the focus you like, you can right-click on the dial and it will lock that focus for you. And then the same thing on the exposure. Once you found the proper exposure, left-click on the dial and it will lock it for you. Now, in case you were wondering, setting up your different color profiles like log or flat or natural, or choosing and setting your white balance or locking your white balance, just use the normal touchscreen for that. But back to using the remote features, if you click the center button, you can change between the different auto and manual modes, using the original small reticles, or go to the auto mode that will sample a larger portion of the screen. And in case you didn't know it, you can turn autofocus on or auto exposure on. So in the short time I've been using the integration between the Smooth 4 and FiLMiC Pro, I found that the remote record is something I use a lot. That's an obvious but really great feature to have. And then the focus control is probably second on the list, followed by the exposure. I tend to lock my exposure and focus, but it's nice to have that at your fingertips. Now earlier I mentioned a caveat about the Bluetooth. Well, this is what I was talking about. Not sure if it's a bug or if it's a conflict between the different operating systems and the different versions of the app or the firmware in the Smooth 4. There's a lot of variables in play here, but the Bluetooth connection does on occasion stop working. It gets disconnected and I don't know why. So when that happens, you just need to go back into your settings and reset it up. Overall though, you have amazing integration and control between the Smooth 4 and FiLMiC Pro. Once you start using it this way, you almost don't want to go back to touching the screen. So how about using third-party lenses? Well, we haven't shot a lot with this yet, and I don't actually have any footage to show you, but I can say that it does work with a moment lens using a counterweight. Although I do feel like the gimbal works the best with no case on and no third-party lenses. I need to work with this more to see, but that's my initial feeling. So keeping your rig as bare bones as possible, I think works the best. I will say that I'm not 100% comfortable using this yet. Getting used to new gear like this though takes some time. So the last thing I'll show you is some sample footage shot with the Smooth 4 and FiLMiC Pro. This is nothing too exciting visually, it's just test footage. You can see just a little bit of up and down motion there. That's something that a lot of gimbal footage has. Try to work on your footwork to eliminate that. I'm talking to myself, of course. Now let me show that again. This has a light color grade and a little bit of warp stabilizer added. So it's still a little bit of up and down at the beginning, but as I move forward here, that motion gets pretty good. Again, with more practice, that'll go away. Here's another shot, similar thing, a little bit of up and down, not too bad. Color graded with some warp stabilizer. This shot was a little bit smoother going over the hood of the car there. Same thing with a little bit of a stylized color grade and some warp stabilizer. Now these last few shots here don't have any stabilization added. I shot these later and I started to get a little bit better feel of the gimbal. This shot was also done in flashlight mode, which it seems like takes out a few more of the bumps. A little bit up and down around that ladder, not too bad though, getting better. hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. We will be doing more testing with this gimbal and some other gimbals in the very near future, so be sure to subscribe to our channel to make sure you see those videos. Thank you very much for watching, and we will see you guys in the next one.